And I can't think of a group that's done that more and made more of an impact than New Reach, which has had other names. I'm blanking out now at my age, but we'll hear all about that, which helps house people in New Haven. We have Kellyanne Day here from New Reach at WNHH. Good morning, Kellyanne. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Paul. Good to see you.
How you been?
I've been well. How about you?
I've been fine. Now, was it Life Haven New Reach before?
So we were first New Haven Home Recovery.
Oh, that's right. NHHR. Yeah.
And then in 2012, we merged with Life Haven, which we still operate as an emergency shelter for 20 families. And actually, in January, we just merged with Fish.
Oh, my goodness.
So we are now operating.
I thought Fish is food, or no?
It is food insecurity to the homebound.
So you've really grown this organization. I remember you got the new facility on the Rector Square and the warehouse and all that. So what started out as having housing for single women, teen moms, right?
One emergency shelter in the Hill.
Has grown into a network of emergency shelters, supportive housing?
Yes, so we actually look at the services that have grown.
I'm going to get close to the mic, Kellyanne.
The services that have grown over the past 30 years kind of follow the definition to ending homelessness on the federal level. So New Reach provides homeless prevention to try to help people stay out of homelessness, to make it rare. We provide crisis services in the form of diversion from shelter, as well as Life Haven and Martha's Place, our two emergency shelters. To help make it brief, we want to try to move people out as quickly as possible. And then we also provide affordable and supportive housing, which keeps folks in the community housed with services so that they don't end up back in an unstable housing situation.
So I want to ask you about all the Kellyanne, but first I'm going to ask you what song or poem you brought.
Oh, I didn't bring one. But you know what? My favorite song these days is from Frozen, Let It Go.
Give me one verse.
Let it go, let it go.
And why is that your favorite song?
I don't know. Because I'm not afraid of the cold, Paul. That's that maybe is the theme there.
How many years you been at the organization?
I've been...
I remember visiting you on Ferry Street.
I know. I've been at the organization for 28 years.
Boy, time goes fast.
28 years, it goes fast.
And so give me some metrics here about how much you've grown. How many people work for you? How many people do you help? How many locations do you have?
Sure. When I first started, we had a budget under $1 million and about 10 employees, 2 programs. Now our budget is over $7 million, and we have over 90 employees, and we're on track to almost reach about 5,000 individuals this current fiscal year.
To me, that partly reflects a growing need. Am I correct? That just
it's a growing need.
Cities around the country are dealing with even a lot more housing insecurity, rising rents, raising mental illness, opioid addiction. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of the perfect storm, right? All of these things are crashing in at once. At the same time, we haven't developed enough affordable housing for folks that are, maybe dealing with those issues of depression, anxiety, substance use. Their wages are not going up, or maybe they're losing their job. And so that, coupled with the fact there are not enough affordable units, is really creating an unstable housing situation for many people.
So I know that you, in addition to having homelessness, as you mentioned, you're helping people if they're in a crisis where they might become homeless. You have help for them. What about the actual housing you provide? Am I right that it falls under the term of art, supportive housing, meaning you don't just throw somebody in a room, but it's backed up with on-site help with whether it's substance abuse addictions like Housing First, or also job training help, counseling. Is that correct? Is that
That's
what you
correct.
do?
We've kind of developed an interesting model, Paul, over the past number of years, where we try to surround families and individuals who are moving out of homelessness with a team. So a clinical team, so a therapist, a caseworker, and a peer, someone who has been where that family or individual is right now and has moved on. So
that's it. So someone you had helped who's now in a good place, you keep in touch with them and connect them to somebody else to help them get there.
We have peers on staff who can relate. They've got that lived experience. They know what's happening in the household or with the individual, and they can help support them. In some ways, sometimes that caseworkers can't. But then the caseworkers can help connect folks to benefits and the services that they may need in the community or childcare. And then the clinicians step in if there's a crisis, if there's an acute crisis and someone needs immediate support for a mental health or substance use.
Now you mentioned that connecting to I think about bureaucracy. I think those of us who are not in crisis, I still find it daunting to get through phone mail, automated systems, find out what I need to do with an insurance company, with a dentist. I mean, just like,
Right.
so I can
It
just
can be so
imagine if your life's in
overwhelming.
crisis, like how you would even, so we have all this public aid that's available to people. It must be very hard to actually access it.
So, unfortunately, there's not quite enough public aid available, and the accessing it is a huge problem. And being able to help walk people through and provide them the support so that they can actually access it is huge. Is huge, especially if you're dealing with, depression or anxiety. That can be crippling, and it's hard for folks to even get out of bed. But working with a team, someone who's been there, who can say, "I've been there. I know how you feel." Let's get out of bed and let's work on this. A caseworker who can say, I'm making some phone calls, I'm sitting with you, you're making the phone calls, and a clinician that can say, listen, here's some coping skills that you can use to move forward. So we've had, in spite of the challenges we have been experiencing, we've had lots of great success stories. Folks really moving on from homelessness and stabilizing their lives.
Want to tell me one story?
So I could tell you a story about a young mom who was at Life Haven for probably about 6 months, and when she came to Life Haven, she didn't have a job. She had no child care for her children, and so the caseworkers there worked with our rapid rehousing team, and they were able to get those things in order so that mom could go and get a job and move out of the shelter. And now it's really nice for the staff when this mother comes back and stops in and says hello and says thank you, and we know that she's doing well.
And you're hearing about New Reach was not only doing well, it's doing good in our community every day for people who are homeless, who might become homeless, who have been homeless, getting back on their feet. And we're asking you this segment to go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org online. And if you type in New Reach, you can help support the wonderful work that Kellyanne Day is telling us about. 28 years, Kellyanne.
Yeah.
What?
Paul, can I just say too, you
Yeah.
can also, if you want to specifically support Life Haven, you can type in Life Haven.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to specifically support Fish, you can support Fish
Tell
as
us
well.
more about Fish and the food they do.
Yeah, so Fish moved onto our campus when we moved in 2020 to use one of our buildings as
In
their
Erector
distribution. Yes.
So you go to work every day at Erector Square?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And so
Community Street.
when they were looking to make some changes, when Jill Meyerhoff, who was the executive director, was retiring, our two boards got together and said, this makes sense to merge the two organizations so that we can continue to be providing this in-home food to so many households.
As part of the
that
idea
need
that
it.
you're dealing with some of the same people so they can have efficiencies at the
Some-
same caseworker?
Some of the same people. I mean, most of the efficiencies come that New Reach can absorb some of the back office work that Fish was struggling with, maybe. So some of the contractual work and the fundraising and the keeping track of the finances and things like that. So
Because people
that's where
always,
the
it's
efficiencies
capacity
came.
you've built up an organization. Because people always talked about New Haven, like on the one hand, strength that we have over 500 nonprofits working today, and you don't want to just merge everything into one version of Yale.
No.
But
no.
often people talk about how it does make a lot of sense to merge some organizations because they each have to put entire staffs up to do the paperwork, to do the fundraising, to do the management, to do. How much do you find those economies of scale?
Well, for us, we found that because of this merger, Fish continues to include people on the roster to have food delivered. So we went from 500 households to, I think we're close to 800 households a month that we're sending to, which we would not have been able to do if the partnership didn't take place.
And
So
what-
it's about the mission. It's about making sure that people get what they need. And if we can do it in an efficient way, then we're going to try to do it. And when we looked at our two missions, it was very similar. New Reach has been providing basic needs in terms of shelter and furniture, and we've provided food in our shelters. But this just gives us an opportunity to perhaps provide more food in our shelters. What we're seeing right now is that the folks who are coming into shelter, they're running out of food by the end of the month, and so there's a real increasing in food security happening in the actual
And
shelter population.
is this about inflation or what's it about?
I think it's about inflation. Absolutely, things cost more. When you move into a shelter, your food stamps go down. There's an assumption.
Really?
There's an assumption there
Because you're not
that
paying rent?
that you're not paying rent, but the shelters don't have a line item for food
And
to
then
provide
so you
food.
buy really expensive junk food at what's available at the
Right.
nearest bodega.
Right. So now the merger with Fish allows New Reach to have access to food through Food Share.
Excellent.
And so we can.
I was
we
recently with a gentleman who collects bottles for a living, and he took me. We did a video of it. Took me to Stop and Shop. How he decided how he was going to spend his $3 he had for food.
Yeah.
And he talked about which noodles you could heat up with the hot water, and the pros and cons of what was going to keep him filled up to afternoon, but if he could splurge for the extra flavor packet, and then when there was a certain brand that had a 30-cent discount. I was just thinking, wow, those decisions are tough.
Right. They're things that most folks aren't thinking about.
So food insecurity has been wrapped into your mission.
Food insecurity has been wrapped into our mission. Mm-hmm.
And
I wanted to mention this book that I bought here.
Homelessness is a housing
problem. And it's a great read for anybody who's really interested in knowing why we have such a growing homeless population, or a population of people who are unstably housed. I think about the fact that many of us know people and have people in our family, people that we love, that have made, poor choices perhaps, or have fell ill with a mental health or a substance addiction. And in many cases, we're there for them. We're their family. We can take them in. We can support them. But so many people don't have that safety net. And there is no housing available for that population. We need more supportive housing. We need more housing where people can live independently with the supports when they're struggling through those issues. And this is a really good book.
And who wrote the book?
The book is written by Greg Colburn and Clayton Page Alderin.
And one of the big debates is, this is not your responsibility, is the build argument. That people who are on the same side of wanting more affordable housing, some think that if you just allow anyone to build expensive housing, that increases the supply and will lower the pressure on rents nearby. Other people say that's a theory, that in real life you have to specifically have rules that if housing is built, a bunch of it has to be affordable. And other people come back and say that's counterproductive, that in the end the housing then just doesn't get built and rents stay up. Is the answer from your end, is your point, well, first of all, who's right?
Well, I think it's a combination, right? If you do have more supply, maybe the prices will go down.
Or do just more people come who get attracted to that area?
New Haven is a growing city with our biotech, which is great. It's great for our economy. But there's not an opportunity to have affordable units, even small houses. I mean, folks that are starter homes. You can't find a starter home anywhere.
Yeah, I know someone looking. New Haven's not even an option.
You can't even find a starter home. So the folks who would have been moving into starter homes are taking those rents. They're renting units now, right? And so they're pushing other folks out of the market.
Well, I guess whoever's right, doesn't even matter in terms of what you're doing. You're just making sure there's affordable housing.
We just want to make sure there's affordable housing.
And how many units do you guys actually manage?
So we actually own 80 units.
Wow,
under
so you've really grown in the years.
And then we partner with landlords to provide scattered site supportive housing as well.
So in other words, what does it mean to partner with a landlord?
So when we work with landlords who have units available, we're able to access those units for people coming out of homelessness. And then we help to pay a portion of the rent through our public dollars. And we provide the support services so that landlord feels comfortable knowing that if there is a hiccup, if something does happen, they have support.
Is part of it just trusting you? Do you also vet the people or no?
Yeah, part of it is trusting our judgment and our support teams. And
I remember talking to one of the slumlords in town and say, every time I come to you, there's some tenant who's making it horrible for everybody else in this building. Do you think you're being responsible? And he said, it's easy for you guys to say and for the people who take the more expensive tenants, but where are those people going to go? And then you think, well, what about, but you're not a trusted person because you do have the one tenant who's dealing drugs, prostitution in the house, and really makes it dangerous for the people living there. So do we need people like you to be trusted to vet, or is vetting a tough process because people are hit hard at times? You don't know what'll happen.
Yeah, I think we need more interventions like I was talking about earlier, where we have a clinical team that has a clinician, a social worker, and a peer to help move people on that journey, maybe out of some of those professions that are causing problems with their tenancy and with their lives. So, if you can surround people with support to make better choices, that's going to benefit everybody. All boats will rise if that happens.
Joanne Scully types in, "Yay, New Reach." Show support for the amazing hardworking staff, of which she is now one.
Yes,
Click
we
on
are
one
so
of their
happy to have
fundraising
Joanne.
pages. So if you're watching us on Facebook, Joanne, put the link. And I'll just tell you, thegreatgive.org is the link. And just type in New Reach, because everyone listening can type in New Reach. I
They
know
can
that we have
type
an
in New
educated
Reach, yes.
listenership.
And I
New
just want to
Reach.
give a shout out to the Community Foundation and the hard work that they do to put this event together. I spent some time on the board there, and they're just an amazing group. Jackie Downing is amazing, and just want to give a shout out to her for all the work she does on this
28
event.
years you've been doing this, Kellyanne. I seem to remember that faith really drives a lot of what got you into this work. Is that true?
So, I think I've talked to you about this before.
Yeah.
My mother was a big advocate of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale,
Right.
and the power of positive thinking, and that you just have to keep moving forward. You just have to keep thinking positive, and then things will work out, and maybe they're not big wins all the time, but we have to appreciate the small wins as we're going through this and never give up.
I think it's great, by the way, they have Jan Scully, because she had the great group Solar Youth over the years, and she's
Yes.
someone like now moving on to help you doing what you're
She's
doing.
been an excellent addition to our team.
What a difference you folks have made in the community. Well,
And
keep
you
it going,
too, Paul.
Kellyanne,
Thank
Dan.
you for doing this.
I'm so happy you're in New Haven. I'm so happy that you brought in the reach of New Reach. And I just hope everybody listening right now, even, wait at 5 minutes, 2 minutes to put up that cup of coffee and just go to thegreatgive.org. And let's throw them some love for all the love they spread in New Haven. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Paul.